Welcome to VO Life, brought to you by Gravy for the Brain Oceania and hosted by me, Toby Ricketts. It's great to have you along, and this is where you can find really interesting chats between people in the voiceover industry who are doing big things, making waves, and are kind of thought leaders in the space. And I'm doing a series at the moment on the voiceover marketplaces where job seekers go to find work, and also where people go to find the best voiceovers in the world for their projects. And so I'm very pleased to introduce my good friend and the CEO of Bodalgo.com, Armin Hierstetter. Did I say that right?
That was absolutely perfect, Toby. Thank you so much for having me. And hello to everybody from Munich in Bavaria, Germany.
Fantastic. I do like Munich. I remember drinking beer there, which is probably not uncommon.
It's not uncommon, but it will be this year's, again, no Beerfest, no Oktoberfest, because of you know what. And so we are all suffering a little bit here, so we get a beer elsewhere. But I'm really looking forward if normality comes back and we have the Beerfest again, because it's always a great thing to go to.
Absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. Cool. So, Bodalgo.com, we're going to have a talk about the voiceover industry. We're going to talk about the website, where it's going, where it is, all kinds of stuff. So strap in. Firstly, and we've met at the One Voice conferences. We've had a great time. We've jumped on tables. It's, it's a very fun time at the conferences. I am keen to know a bit more about your background. Where are you from? How did you get into sort of computer stuff and voice stuff? Like, what's your kind of 2-minute potted summary?
Okay, so let's do the quick one. I was born in 1970, which makes me an old fart of 50 years, or 51 years, actually, I just turned. So now I grew up in a little town called Schwandorf, which is in Bavaria, Germany, in the southern part of Germany. And by the age of 11, I came to Munich. And I was there. I had a friend who had a Commodore VIC-20, and he taught me to program. So this is where my programming background started. In school, we had a computer lab, and I went there all the time, before school, after school. And then I had my first job as a junior writer in a computer magazine, and I took over the programming section of that magazine. That was in 1990. And then after some stations I was editor of Penthouse magazine in Germany, and then I oversaw youth titles in Germany, and I did a commercial for a colleague. He said, "Oh, we have this commercial for FHM magazine," because we published that at that time in 2004. That was. And he said, we need a new voiceover for a commercial that we already have. It's just the copy that changed. And I said to him, well, you give me compliments on my voice all the time, so why not try me? He was really desperate. It needs to be done like within 24 hours. And he was afraid that there's hardly any budget, like always. And that he couldn't find the right voice and in that time. So I said, well, let's go to the studio and take me. And if it doesn't turn out well, then we still have an option. You can go elsewhere. So I was a complete non-talent at that time. We came to the studio, and it was basically just 2 lines, and it always ended with FHM, Männer sind so. And I trained that driving in the car there all the time. And I think it sounds nice. It will be fine. And there was the director, and he said, well, okay, I can hear that you're not a trained talent, but to be honest with you, if you just follow what I tell you, we'll be Bob's your uncle, and we will be fine. So that's what we did. And really, it took only like 15, 20 minutes, and out I was of the studio. And I thought, yay, I'm a voiceover talent now. So what's next? And I wrote to every agency I found. I wrote an email, and with my one spot that I did as a demo reel. Can you see how naive I've been? So I sent them to there, and none of them even bothered to reply. And then something happened that was like the turning point. I went online and searched for agencies, and I found online casting websites. It's not pay to play. I always do this. It's all pay to play.
Pay to play is a whole different kind of site.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So I went on a website like that. That was also in like 2004, 2005. And I saw there are also Germans, because it was a website from Canada. I won't tell you the name. And actually, it was not. No, it was a website from Colombia. I'm sorry, it was from Colombia. I won't tell the name either. So I went on the website and saw, hey, there are German talents as well. And I wrote to one of them and asking, is it any good? And he said, well, the jobs are really not that well paid, so he's not thinking that he will go ahead with the premium membership. But I thought, well, I'm a noob. Let's give it a try. With no training so far whatsoever. Boy, was I completely misguided. But then I realized, okay, I need training. And I had my coaching classes, and things got better. And I booked my first jobs there. And I thought there must be something like that for the German market, because as it was a Colombian website, it was many Spanish jobs and English jobs, but nothing for me and for the German guy with the glasses. So I was, but then I couldn't find anything that was done for the German market. And I had the idea like 3 years, and then now we're coming back to the beer right from the beginning. I'm sitting at the Beerfest in September 2007, and I'm sitting there, and I start complaining again about with some mates, and said, I don't understand why nothing like this shows up. This would be so great. And the epiphany I had was like, nobody will do it. You do it yourself. And I had already 3 masters of beer. I already had that in me. So I was quite self-confident. Off I went to my flat and started coding the very first lines of what later would become Bodalgo. And this is the story in more than 2 minutes, but this is the story how I went from being a little kid in Schwandorf, writing my first code, having some jobs, and then doing Bodalgo as a part-time project, to be honest.
And so you sort of managed to fuse these two skill sets that you had. You've obviously, I imagine, in the meantime, you were developing as a software programmer or something like that, and then combined these two sort of likes.
Yeah. So I started with voiceover in 2004, and I had training, and then in 2005, I would not say I was a seasoned pro, but I had my first little thing, medals of honor, if you can say it like that. And on the other hand, yes, I was programming, but by 2004 or 2007, I hadn't coded really that much for about like a good 10 years, really, because because in my publishing job, I went from Computer Magazine then off to other magazines. So I didn't code that much anymore. But when I coded the very first line of Bodalgo is written in a language called PHP, for all you programming aficionados out there. But it was not PHP is not far away from another language called C, and I knew C pretty well. So jumping into programming the website was not that hard in the beginning, but it then became lots harder when you do server administration and all that stuff that only crazy people would do voluntarily. So yeah, it was quite a bumpy ride developing the website, because also it was like the first big project I tried to achieve there completely by myself. I'm not sure if all the viewers do know this, but Bodalgo is only 3 people, and it's me, myself, and I. There is nobody else behind. Okay, I have, of course, a few suppliers by now, like hosting companies and so on. But yeah. So yeah, I combining the voice thing with programming, and I studied marketing. So I was a bit savvy in, now that the website is ready, how do I market it to the people?
Absolutely. And you still a voiceover artist? Do you still do jobs, or are you entirely Bodalgo owner?
I did, after like 1.5 years, I did my very first job again just a few weeks ago. But usually what I do is I reject jobs. And when I say I reject them, what I do is I quote such a ridiculously high price that I hope that they will say, we probably shop elsewhere. But sometimes they say, no, that's fine. And I'm go, God damn it. No, but
That's
this
the
is
way to
how
do it.
usually I do. Yeah,
Exactly. Whenever you want to discourage work, it's never just say no. It's put your price up.
exactly. Just price it up because it sounds nicer. It's like, oh, he doesn't want to work with us, but it's like, oh, he's too expensive for us,
Yeah.
which is a completely different thing.
You've studied marketing, haven't you? So tell
Yeah.
me and tell the viewers, what is the difference with Bodalgo? Like, I mean, there are a few big differences, but what do you see as the kind of big difference between the voiceover marketplaces that there are around the world and then Bodalgo?
I think the major difference is that a credit card will not get you on the boat like a credit card by itself. You need to be a professionally trained talent. And when people sign up, their profile is not visible to the rest of the world, just visible to themselves and to me. And I vet each and every talent. And this is getting more and more challenging, really, because many noobs are coming in, but then also many people, for example, that do coaching with Gravy for the Brain, and they are very new to the market, but they are well trained. So you're doing a great job out there, and probably they do coaching as well. So more and more people come up, and sometimes I struggle to get through the pile because it's so many, and you have to listen to each and every demo of them to be able to judge, is this professionally trained or not? Because if it's not professionally trained, then I just delete the profile, and I come to that point in a little bit. And so for people to understand when they sign up with Bodalgo, or I would say with any online casting website, I think it's three things that they really need to bring to the table. And it starts with a flawless audio quality. And Toby, you would not believe how bad it is sometimes. And I don't mean this in a condescending way. I mean it in a way where people don't realize that their audio is not that great. This starts with like a background hiss. If you're listening to your audio with just loudspeakers each side on your table, there's a good to fair chance that you will not hear that because of the ambient noise that's around you all the time. So people really need to listen to the demos with headphones, like PT770 Pro, wonderful headphones by Biodynamic. I'm not getting paid to say that. They're just awesome, great headphones, not fatiguing to your ear. It's great. It's wonderful. So you guys out there, listen to your demos with headphones. So you need to have flawless audio quality. And of course, your recording, your voice, your read needs to support the fact that you are a professionally trained talent. And this starts with like, if I hear a breathing in starting in a demo, like I press play and then comes, I delete it. Because no voiceover should start with breathing in. A voiceover should start with, hi, this is Armin, and this is my demo reel, and off you go, whatever. And that you be there when you start your demo, you have to be there from the first syllable. You have to, the power needs to be there. Yeah, like the engagement needs to be there. Like it sounds like basic things, but many people don't do that. And they get deleted of Bodalgo, not for the other ones. I think I don't say idiot of the North now. Now, the guy in Canada will happily take your money. That's fine, but I won't, because I think you need to bring that to the table. And then it's of course the more technical things like the proper pronunciation, articulation, those things, like where it's not then the read and how great you're doing the read by itself, but more technical things. It's like Hochdeutsch, the High German. If you're not can't do proper High German, you're out. And if somebody has not like, but it's difficult, more difficult that in the US, because you have, of course, many accents all around the country. The same goes, of course, for the Oceania, and like different colors of English. So I have a looser leash there because it's a bigger country. But in Germany, for example, I'm much more strict about the like you must not have an accent.
So going back to the sort of technical things, because I'm absolutely with you, and I've done casting where you get like 100 demos, and like I am like one of the first things I do is go through, and if it sounds like it's someone recording in a shower or like in their dining room, it's like straight away, like I don't get that. But how? But given that you like are holding this kind of sword over people's heads, how do you account for like just maybe your preference versus kind of maybe changing industry standards? Because breath removal is kind of one of those interesting things where some clients say leave the breaths in, like it sounds natural, I kind of like it, but then there's the kind of full on commercial voiceover where you sort of never leave it in. So do you worry ever that you're sort of getting rid of talents through rules like that?
Okay, then I'm the client, the Bodalgo client, and I say breathing in at the beginning of a demo is not acceptable. Boom, there you go. No. Of course, it's a taste thing, but I think if a demo starts and you hear like, also, yeah, I don't believe people have the time to listen to all the time. I'm not talking about the breaths in between, of course. If you do an audiobook, you would never ever cut out the breaths because people breathe while they're reading, while they're talking. So that would sound completely unnatural. But a demo should start with your voice and not the way you breathe. And maybe that's a preference that I have, and maybe that's totally crazy. But for Bodalgo, let's say that's the rule. And but the other things like the way people read and so on, I don't. Or is it a high pitched voice, a low voice? I would not, of course, delete a profile because their voice is too high. I would not do that. But and I would not do it but going back to the technicals, if there is background hiss there, it's a no-go. If you can hear room ambience, it's a total no-go. If you hear if the miking is bad, you can hear too much room. It has total lack of bass, or it has total lack of highs, and it's just really badly done. Then, sorry, not good enough.
Because, I mean, and I say this to all my students, that when you do an audition on any of the voiceover platforms, you're not just advertising the fact that you can perform, you're advertising the fact that, what you hear is what you get. Like, the clients are not thinking, this will be fine once they really record, because you are really recording.
No. It's absolutely. No, you're absolutely right there, Toby. The client presses the play button, and whatever comes out of the loudspeaker is the quality they think they can expect from the real thing. Sometimes it's even like, let's say there's a commercial. The commercial is only 3 sentences. Sometimes they get auditions where somebody reads, because it's only 3 sentences, the whole spot without changing anything, because it's a client that posted already like 150 jobs, so they know this is probably fair enough to do it without watermarking or any tricks. And they come back and say, awesome, perfect read, thank you. We take it. You don't have to send anything because it's okay. It's only an MP3. It's 160 kilobits, but you don't hear that in the mix. If
most
that's
people
just
are listening on their phones these days. Let's be honest.
yeah, and even if it goes on, even if it airs on radio, if it's FM radio, you definitely don't hear it, and they compress it at the radio stations and do tons of stuff with the sound. You don't hear that if that's just an MP3, but it needs to be properly recorded.
Yeah. So the biggest sort of point of difference you see is that it's kind of a selected group of people. It's not just sort of, anyone in the world. The other sort of thing about Bodalgo is that, you have a monthly cost. There's no sort of annual fee option. And the business model is kind of different, isn't it? In terms of you don't take percentages of jobs.
Oh,
yeah.
Of course, yeah. That's as like from the financials. There are few more differences. Let's start. There's 3 plans: monthly, half yearly, and yearly. Obviously, the monthly is the most expensive. If you add 12 of those months together, the yearly would be much cheaper, like 25% or something like that. Yes, but I want to offer them because sometimes the people want to jump in and out, especially when it's for languages where there are not so many jobs. They just wait for one that are really interested in. They know there are not many other premium talents they're fighting against. Like we're talking like Finnish, all the Scandinavian languages, or some languages, Africa. Like why should they sign up for a year if there's only like 10 jobs a year for them in the first place? So that's that. And then Bodalgo only takes the premium membership fee, as I just said. And monthly is 29.90 euros. This is all euro prices I'm telling now. Half yearly is 149.90 and yearly is 269.90. And apart from that, nothing. There is no add-on cost whatsoever. There's no escrow fee. There is no managed services fee. There is, and the client doesn't pay anything. Like the client just posts the job because I don't see a reason. Could I ask the client, like, let's say, oh, we need a transaction fee or a processing fee of 29 euros per job. Well, I think job numbers would drop because of that. And why would I do that in the first place? Because the client already brings the money to the table, the budget he has for the job. And the talents already paid using the service. So of course the talents deserve all the money of that job's budget, of course. Why would I funnel like basically any other platform, I believe now, funnel in their pockets? Bodalgo is based from the business model on the premium membership fee, and that's it. It's very easy. It's very transparent. A 2-year-old understands that. So yeah, and I like it, and this will never ever change.
That's good to hear. I was going to ask whether you see it changing in the future. It's
No.
I mean it's really the only site that offers like a completely level playing field in terms of like, because how your algorithm like works and how it actually distributes jobs to voiceover artists. With the other major voiceover marketplaces, there's an algorithm that kind of aggregates the jobs and then sends out breadcrumb jobs to sort of like certain talents, and if you pay more you get more of those breadcrumbs. But does Bodalgo work when a job is posted, it goes to like everyone all at once? Is that how it works?
Yeah. So Bodalgo has no tiers like so many others, or probably basically everybody else. So there are no tiers. Everybody that is a premium member will get the job that matches him or her. And it goes out, let's say there's an American job and the client doesn't know whether it should be female or male. So it goes to all of them, or non-binary is included now as well. And so let's say, and there are 2,500 talents, not premium talents, but in all premium and basic members, fall into that roster. So they just say female, male, non-binary, age group, young adult, or best ager. And so you have 3,000 talents, and it takes about 2 minutes until those emails are sent out to all of those 3,000. Now, the vast majority of the 3,000 are non-premium members. This is the way Bodalgo, of course, advertises its service to the ones to like say, wouldn't you like to try become a premium member? Of course. And the premium members get a mail where they say, hey, there's a new job. If you think it's a good match, then you audition for that job. Everybody gets it basically at the same time with 1-2 minutes difference. So there's really no competition. There's no unfair competition. And also every time they are sent out, the order is randomized. Every time a job is sent out, it randomizes the order which talent gets it first. But it only takes a minute or two. So there is really no advantage to getting it first.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Because I mean, one of the things that I have, and I mean, we can talk about the sort of your recent success and how the site has grown. Because when I see on Bodalgo, it can be sort of disheartening sometimes to sort of get to a job, and like 10 minutes or 20 minutes later, and there's like 50 or 100 people that have already gone for the job. Do you think that has like increased, especially over COVID? Like, have you seen an influx of new people over COVID?
Yeah. So also definitely, yes. There has been an influx of people. Fortunately, there also has an influx been of jobs. But let me address the challenge with many auditions. It's like you can't have both. You can't have like exclusivity, that you are like the only person in the world that gets the jobs, and also at the same time want to be able to audition for everything, which is what Bodalgo allows. It allows you to audition for every job that matches your profile. So you can't have both. And yes, it is an issue. And yes, there can be up to 400 auditions. I have seen 400 auditions for one job. Well, of course, it's the best paying jobs. So what does Bodalgo do to like make this a little bit better? Well, first of all, I believe in a free market. If people really think, let's say, oh, there are already 200 auditions, I don't give it any more a job, well, then it balances it out by itself. But there are people that come late to the party and they still audition and they get the job. It doesn't matter, or you can't say it's a rule that says you have to be the first to audition to increase your chances of nailing the job, because the list presented to the client with all the auditions on top are the ones that auditioned last. And many people don't get this, I believe. So what is the reasoning behind that? Well, if the client, let's say the client comes to the page every 2 hours, then I don't want him or her to have to scroll down to get to the new auditions they haven't listened to. That's why the new auditions are on top of the list. So they just go to the website, see, 5 more new auditions, they listen to them, zack. Next come in, they're again on top, and he doesn't have to scroll down and remember where he was. Very easy for everybody. And it takes the pressure out of the talent to be like, oh, I need to be the first. No, you have all the time to prepare your audition. No need to hurry whatsoever. In fact, it could be that being one of the later ones is actually a good thing. But then again, there are people that go there all the time, like 5 times a day. And then it's not a good thing to be the last one, because maybe they're already identified on their way 3 or 4 talents they really, really liked. So there you go. Now, it is a challenge to have this many auditions, but it's built in the system. Bodalgo wants you to be able to audition for all the jobs with no tiers and no filtering whatsoever. Well, you have to match, of course, the profile, like gender, voice, age, those things. But there is no other filter where they say, oh, you already auditioned for 10 jobs, now you can't audition anymore.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a good way. But there is a way that might come in the future where Bodalgo says, okay, we are looking at the longest streaks of your membership. Like you're a member and a premium member for 5 years. And then you may have a benefit to a member that is only there for 2 months for special selected jobs where the client would have to pay to have like a job plus posting, where then this posting only goes to 50 or 100 people. And these would be the people with the longest streak of their premium membership. Why would I take a thing like that as a filter? Well, because the ones that are the longest, well, probably are the longest because they are successful with what they do with Bodalgo. So I would assume that because of that, they are probably very seasoned talents that know what they're doing. Like they're I don't want to say like they're the cream, but they obviously do something really, really well. And this is why. So this is just like I was spinning this idea. I'm not suggesting in any way that this will come. If it would come, it would only affect jobs where the client would have put big money on the table, like big money, like 99 euros per job or 199 per job. So he only gets his job to those talents. The talents wouldn't pay anything. The talents, just by their existence at Bodalgo, would be eligible for those jobs or not. And because it changes all the time, this would shuffle. So, but this is all just ideas. Nothing is set in stone. And maybe after talking at now one voice conference about this idea to many talents, maybe at the end of the day said, no, it's not such a great idea after all. It's not set in stone.
Fair enough. Do you get feedback from your clients, being the job posters on the site, that there's too much to kind of wade through and that they sort of struggle to get through like 400 auditions?
Yeah, sometimes it is like that. I'm happy to say that the opening rate of auditions is back to 75%. It dropped to 69% during COVID. And then I changed something in the system where a client only can see the offer, the quote, the price tag, once he listened to the demo. And boom, the opening rate went up 6%, and it seems to be now stable at 75%, which of course could be improved, absolutely. But I think 75% is pretty solid. It's I think a really good number. So yeah, but yes, there are sometimes complaints, not very often though. It's really like 2-3 times a year maybe, where people that really like, I can't use your site anymore because it's too many auditions. I think they get it. I mean, what are the options? And especially as all or many of the auditions are really great quality, because Bodalgo vets each and every talent. They don't have to listen to crap like they would have to do with so many, like with voices.com, Voice123, Fiverr. I mean, it's full of crap that they need to listen there sometimes, because they don't vet the talents and just look at the credit cards. And even the CEOs openly say that they want to be open to all sorts of voices. Yeah, well, okay, that's a different philosophy. And I think that the clients appreciate, yes, it's a lot, but it's a lot of great voices. And we appreciate that. Not every audition gets listened to. We don't need to make things more rosy than they are. But 75% is a good rate. And let's see, maybe I have a few more ideas how to bring that number up.
While we're on statistics and talking about talent and jobs, I'd be interested to know roughly, like, what proportion of talent you have that are kind of that are German speaking, say, versus sort of like, American English, or like, what's the kind of spread?
Of course. If I have my numbers now, well, we have about 4 to 5,000 in total now. 4 to 5,000 talents from America. We have 1,500 from Germany. So Germany, the English-speaking market, like looking at the financials at the bottom line of Bodalgo and the job numbers too, the English side of life has outgrown the German side. And Bodalgo started as a purely German website. The other languages came later. So I would say that about 50% of the jobs that come in, 45% of the jobs are for the English world, 30 are Germany, and the rest is Italy, France, Spain, and then the rest. The three major ones, English UK, English US, German, these are the biggest ones. Now, these three are the biggest ones.
And in terms of the job spread, like, where are most of your clients sort of based? Do you have obviously started
Europe.
in Germany?
Yeah, it started in Germany. So Germany is where the biggest client pool comes out of Germany. But there are many, like they not only need German jobs, they're international companies, and they need all over the place.
Yeah, lots of localization. I noticed jobs coming up for a British version, an American version, etc. Yeah, yes. That makes sense. Yeah, cool.
It was always very difficult for me to get into the American market, to make Bodalgo known overseas. I'm not sure whether that is, but I don't like the aggressive cold calling thing, like having 100 people that are cold calling people that don't want to be cold called. So and also it's prohibited in Germany. I'm not sure about the US though. And I would love to grow the client base in US, but apart from the usual suspects in marketing, I have not found, like, if there is a great talent out there that has awesome marketing skills, and I'm talking to all you Gravy for the Brains and the YouTube channels watchers. If you are really a marketing genius, and if you know the voiceover world and know how to find attract clients, you drop me a line at armin@bodalgo.com. Wow, that was a cool commercial built in you right into it.
There we go. Voiced by the man himself. It sounded so natural. So, like, I'm interested to know about, because, like, most of the jobs come through Europe, and in my experience, Europe has quite a different way of, like, people finding voices. For example, in the Scandinavian countries, it seems to be that, clients go to studios to get something produced, the audio production houses, and they're the ones that find the voice generally, or they have their own in-house rosters. Is that sort of how it has traditionally been before Bodalgo? And is that still the case in a lot of European countries, where the audio post-production houses are the people who find the voice actor?
Yeah, as I remember it from productions that I did a long time ago, it's like you want to, let's say we create an ad. So we go to this film production company and said, okay, you will do the shooting of the ad. And they will also they will go to a studio and ask, hey, what are the cool voices? Or they go to an agency and say, send us some cool voices. But usually it's most of the time it's the studio, that the audio studio or recording studio, that gives them a few samples of voices, and they source them from their own catalog, or they go to an agency. So this is how it used to be done in Germany, and I think all over in the world. Now, with the upcoming of online casting, we still have the agents. I would assume that they see their jobs numbers probably going down, but then with COVID, difficult to say. I'm not sure about that, but they're still in existence. And I don't think they will go away, because the top shelf brands that have, like, they go to the top shelf film production companies, and usually those do not tend to go to online casting because they don't yet see that online casting is a really great option for them. They also want, I think, this more personal approach, and maybe the clients also want this more personal approach where they can sip their coffee or prosecco in the recording studio and be there while the talent is recorded and all of that. So it's more of an event. The whole thing. They feel probably a little bit like celebs when they can walk into the studio and see the talent they're recording. No, I really do believe that there is a little bit of, and don't get me wrong, it is a cool thing to watch a production. And so I completely get it and understand it. And they think they have full control, which sometimes, of course, leads them to the client talking to the talent like, oh, can you please read it faster, but make it sound slower. we all have been there. But of course, there has been a shift to online casting with COVID. There's no doubt about that, because the people simply couldn't go anymore to the studios because the studios were because of COVID. And I believe that Bodalgo did a great job, without like tapping my own shoulder, but I think Bodalgo did a really great job in making those people now more confident in, online casting actually works really well. And after COVID, to be honest, why should we go back? Because this was really, really easy. And I hope that the others did that the same. Well, I do believe it's still very easy. They just rip off the clients without knowing them, but that's a different story. But still, they have been ripped off very easily. Can I say that legally? I'm not really sure. But as I did not say who I especially mean, I think I can get away with that. Otherwise, you have to cut it out. No, so I really do hope that with all the casting websites now, joking aside, that they saw, hey, that really works. That is an option. And yeah, not so good for the agents, not so good for the recording studios. I totally get it. On the other hand, yeah, but I think this is where the world is heading to. And I just would wish that the bottom feeders and the amateurs would be more identified, that we would train our clients more to listen to where they need to listen to separate the amateurs from the pros, because at the end of the day, it's their bottom line if a commercial does not really work that well because it was just a really bad talent.
And it's that whole thing of cheap talent. You end up paying for it somehow, like be it in longer studio time or the campaign not working, or all that stuff.
Of course,
yeah,
all the time.
That's very true. So let's get on to some nitty gritty stuff about actually sort of using Bodalgo, because I remember hearing controversially, as usual, you're very controversial, but saying that when you did a presentation at One Voice, saying no clients read the proposal text. Don't even worry about their field. It doesn't even matter. Do you know if clients read the proposal text? It was probably a joke on stage.
No, no. They read the proposal, because if they don't read the proposal, they can't send you a message, because at the end of your proposal, there's this text field where they can type in their answer, where they say, hey, great voice, we want to book you. They could also go to your profile and do the same thing. But so, yes, it's but what I wanted to say with that is, don't overthink it. The major thing, because making this proposal also takes time, especially if you want to be relevant to this specific job. But and this is what I always say, 3 sentences, 4 at the most, like salutation, hi, and whatever the name is, you see the first name. So I would suggest as a hello first name is absolutely fine. Then 3 sentences why you are the talent for this job. It needs to be a relevant and unique benefit that you can provide to the client. Now, I know that is easier said than done, because if the client doesn't describe the job very, very well, how can you find out what unique, relevant benefit there is to give the client to? So, but if there is a briefing, then unique, relevant benefit. Those 3 words must be there. And if you can't find some, well, maybe this is not a job in the first place you should audition for, because then maybe so. Okay, 3 sentences, best regards, blah, 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 blah. Your contact details are attached to it automatically. You just have to make sure that your signature, which is also at your dashboard, on your dashboard, when you go to Bodalgo, make sure that your signature has those in. Email, telephone, mail address is not important. Just email, telephone is the most important thing. And then fine. So don't overthink it. I really do not believe that it's like the major thing. The major thing is your voice and your voice and your voice, and that's it. And you can do much more mistakes there than you can do in a cover letter.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's good. When people are sort of, one of the biggest things that newbies have a problem doing is deciding what to charge, and charging for voiceover is one of these areas that, it was very stable for a long time with agents that had their rate cards, etc. Online casting came along, and then, the whole apple cart got upturned. And there's been this argument of the race to the bottom, which kind of has and hasn't happened at the same time. Like still online casting jobs have sometimes, quite often, a lot better rates than the agents are putting out still. So I don't think we've seen a race to the bottom that was kind of predicted about 5 years ago. The big question now,
when you're looking at Fiverr, there you have, but not for the professional talents.
Yeah, no, so that's always been sort of, it's kind of stratified. I think the different sites occupy different sort of like ecological niches in the voice industry, if you like. So like the big question has been in recent years, and has basically been, should the voiceover marketplaces have minimum rates and tell the clients what they should be paying and kind of enforce it, because they've gotten a lot of stick for letting jobs. I just saw one of the voiceover sites that was like, it was a video for some pharma company. It was like, and it pays like €50. It said in the title, and it was kind of like, I mean, that's obviously way outside. So should they pull that job down, or is it free market? Because you said you believed in free market. So
there's a few things to this. Okay, Bodalgo checks each and every job. And if the budget is not where it should be, Bodalgo rejects the job. Even before that, if a client enters a job, the system will pre-scan with some rules if the budget is suitable for that job and reject it immediately, suggesting the correct budget. Since Bodalgo has this, the number of jobs that I had to then reject dropped dramatically. So which proves definitely that if you give reason why this is, and this automatic or semi-automatic tool does that, it gives reasons why the budget is higher. So that they actually are willing to learn, and if a good reason comes along, they say, okay, then I pay more. Fine. Now, in Germany, you cannot force a price like an offer from the client. You can't really tell them, no, it needs to be €1,000 or else.
Because it's like price fixing, essentially, isn't it? It's
and this is a difficult topic. So Bodalgo is working there in a gray area, but because we kind of say you can't have it for 50. And but I think it's a gray area, and so far, no, of course, nobody complains. But you can't force it. The issue with all those price lists we have is there's just too many. In Germany, we already have 3 different rate cards, just in Germany alone. And all over the world, it's like, and then in an international world, how do you do it? Like you have a Chinese client that wants a German voiceover. Well, which rate card applies? The Chinese rate card or the German rate card, or a mixture of both? I'm always saying the rate card where the talent lives applies, because he needs to pay the prices for his setup living also in the country that he lives in. So his rate card is the one that should be there. But it's very difficult. And for the all other markets, we have, of course, the GVAA rate card. We have, I think you have a wonderful tool as well.
Yeah, the Gravy for the Brain.
Right.
Absolutely. Gravy for the Brain rate card is there at, I think it's at rates.gravyforthebrain.com, or just Google search, Gravy for the Brain rate card. Yeah. And it does have all the countries that we're in.
Exactly. So this is a great tool to have a look. There's also the Bodalgo Mart, which is a much more it's not so sophisticated as the Gravy for the Brain tool. I always wanted to update it to reflect more countries. It gives really just only a very rough idea of where things could start in pricing. Definitely not where they could end. So I would suggest, GVAA has a good rate card and Gravy for the Brain. I have not understood how Union works. They have explained it to me many, many times. I did not understand it, especially how to convert a non-union job into a union job. 3 paymasters simultaneously tried to explain that to me. I didn't get it. I think I'm more stupid than I thought I would be.
I'm pretty sure the union doesn't know how the union works half the time. It's a very complicated system. Yeah. It's very complicated.
Yeah, I have the feeling. But okay. But I'm not connected with the union at all, with any union in the world. So they can do whatever they think is best for their event.
I want to talk about a few of the other thing that makes Bodalgo different is that you kind of, you've tried to add value through tools like Bodalgo Call and Prompter and CRM, etc. Did you add those? Is that the sort of a voice retention sort of strategy, or did you see a need where people? Bodalgo Call. Did you see an uplift in that during COVID? Because it would have been a very useful tool for people.
Yeah. Bodalgo Call is definitely, at this moment where we talk. Probably there are 20 sessions going on in this very second of Bodalgo Call. It's not a huge number, but over a week, over a month, there's many sessions. And yes, there was a big peak there since COVID. And now that I changed the system a few times, where you now can record when you can record the session, and you record it's all recorded in each single track. It's free for the premium talents, and no, not only for the premium talents. Only if you want to record, that's still free for the premium talents. But if you're not premium, you cannot record. Well, you can record on your machine, of course, if you have the correct routing and wiring. But I thought it's a great tool. All the browsers, or most of the browsers, can do it. It's built in. It's just you need to create the app. And I also saw it as a coding challenge. Oh boy, I aged definitely a few years doing this, because it was a total nightmare to code. And then with the CRM, I just thought, well, it would be a nice to track down your clients, your jobs, and so on. But I think it's when I built it, it's the amount of what it can do is maybe too reduced for many people to use it. People use it, but not excessively. Bodalgo Prompter then, which is totally free, and I think it's the only online teleprompter that you can use with your mobile phone, where you can use your mobile phone as the remote control for the teleprompter. It really works wonderfully, like magic. And I got such a nice email, because there was a talent that was not any longer after, not a stroke, but something like that, after a disease. And he was stuttering all the time when he was reading a page, because he had to flick through the pages and he was stuttering. And this lady wrote to me and said, she is completely over the moon, because with Bodalgo Prompter, he stopped stuttering. Because the text was flowing by itself, and he could adjust the speed. And there's this little bar where you can see the line you're reading at the moment. And she said, this was totally unexpected. I was almost close to tears when I read. Well, actually, I was to tears when I read this email, because this is something that I didn't even think about.
Yeah.
And and it's there. And I will add, over the time, there will more tools appear when I have an idea for a great tool, because I wanted Bodalgo to become like a voiceover toolbox, where it's one thing is the casting, but there are also other tools that you might like to use. And it's because they are free, it's not really to retain the premium talents. Maybe it's also giving back to the community. Like I do really well with Bodalgo, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And by sponsoring the events or bringing those tools to the table for free, basically, it's also kind of a giving back, and it doesn't cost me anything. Well, that's not actually super true, because Bodalgo Call now costs me something, because I have to pay for the relay service, because it's now very many people from out there that use Bodalgo Call. But I'm happy because the tool is there. It works 99% of the cases. It works really, really nicely. There are a few issues still, but it's a really reliable tool.
Great.
And it's been nominated for the One Voice Awards. Yeah.
Well, good luck with that one. That's always good. So we're kind of getting into the end of the interview. We've had a good longer look at the sort of present. What do you see as some of the challenges that the voiceover industry is facing currently?
There are a few. For the new ones that are coming in, there is the challenge that they must not believe that having a USB microphone connected to your computer will do the trick. They need to understand that first, before you think, where can I have my demo produced? The first question you ask yourself is, how can I be good at that? And then once you are, you produce your demo. So you need to find a great coach or great online coaching. Great Before the Brain is a wonderful start for you to get going, or to start walking. I don't know. So, but that's a good way to start. And then you don't stop. You need to learn, to continue learning.
Yeah, to upskill.
Progress. So this is like both of them. Now, what are the challenges ahead? Well, AI might be a challenge that we need to see where that goes. But I'm a firm believer that we are still very far away from voices that you can actually direct. Because when there is when you do a commercial and then you say, oh, that was really nice AI, but can you add a little bit of red carpet? Try to be arrogant but still approachable. Running.
So
good luck with that.
Yeah.
So, but with things like e-learning that is completely where emotion is not present, I could imagine that there might be a time in 5 years where the bottom feeders from Fiverr will have a hard time because what they do will be done by AI. But the professional work, everything that has to do with acting, like proper voice acting, animations, commercials, audiobooks, all of that very, very, very creative stuff. I don't see a way there at all. I think the professionals will be still good if you are good at what you're doing. Otherwise, you'll be eaten up by AI. But I think we're looking at least 5 years in the future, and maybe even more. So, yeah. And then the challenge that.
Did you read the state of AI voice report that Voice 123 put out recently?
Not sure if I got through that completely. I saw it.
I am.
Anything interesting in there?
Well, it was interesting because it kind of showed that clients aren't really that into AI. Like I definitely thought that there were fewer. It was less. It didn't look as rosy as I expected it to for AI. You know, people were not keen on hiring AI voices through the platform, which kind of interesting.
Yes, but I think that can change dramatically fast. I think the reason why they are not that keen on using AI voices is because they hear AI voices every day, and they can hear it's an AI voice. Siri, Alexa, they're better than, but are they really that much better compared to the GPS navigation in cars 15 years ago? They sounded pretty okay. On the next, in 100 meters, drive left. Okay, it got a bit better now, but they hear that and they say, well, I can't use that for e-learning. I can't use that for my tutorials. I can't use that for commercials. And this is why they have already an expectation, because they're listening to that stuff every day and they think that's good enough for me. Keep reminding me about my appointment in 2 hours, but it's definitely not good enough to become my next commercial voice. But when those girls and guys become better, and they will become better, then immediately millions and millions and millions of people will rate AI voices completely different.
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, it's like the uncanny valley, isn't it? Like the closer you get to it, but you still know it's an AI, the more weird it feels like, I mean, you definitely wouldn't have audiobooks being read by AI because, you'd get sort of like, 15 minutes in and it would be obvious at some point in that it was an AI. And then suddenly you wouldn't trust the narrator. You wouldn't have that relationship.
And it's for any kind of real acting where acting is needed. You can't have that, because in order to give it a proper read, the AI would need to understand what's going on. And imagine you have a reference in one sentence to a reference like to two paragraphs up, and you need to read it that way. I don't see AI at all to be capable of doing that, because then the AI would not only need to understand what it's actually reading right now, it would have to remember and reference it. It would need a brain. No, it's not AI. It's humans that can do that, and I don't see that. Decades. This is decades away until AI will be able to do that. Cut. Next morning, Google headline: AI reads like a human.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to happen, isn't it? Another question about the future. I mean, and referencing the past. Voices.net was something that you released in 2019. And I was very keen. It's still a beautiful site, and it's still up there. I looked at my profile yesterday.
Yes.
What's sort of the status of it?
No good news there.
Do you want to give people a bit of a background, just in case they missed the 2019?
So I had the idea of creating a second voiceover website that was kind of unique in some ways, where first of all, it would be totally free to voiceover talents. It would be the clients that pay per casting. And
it was aimed at like super premium, kind of like the very top end of the market.
It's only the top of the top of the top could even like build a profile there. And then COVID came. And more time was dragged into like, I better run the horse that is already on the track than the one that is still in the stable. And so it could well be that the website disappears. It would be a shame, but at the moment I don't have any new date. I have no update there. It's it's a big shame, and I usually when I say this will be done, this will be done with basically everything I'm saying. But that maybe I bit off more than I could chew. I would have to probably employ people, and I'm not sure whether I'm ready to do that.
Yeah, that's a big leap, and it was. I mean, that might be interesting people for you to find out in this interview that you are like a one-man band, and compared to the other companies who have distributed workforces around the world, and they've got $40 million of venture capital funding and giant offices and stuff. You're considering you're playing in the same arena as them. You really punch above your weight. So. Well done and congratulations. Yeah. And your reputation always, is very strong in the voiceover community, that you really listen and connect with and are part of the voiceover industry. You don't kind of like, you don't sort of like farm voiceover talent. You're genuinely engaged, like with your free tools.
Thank you. I like to hope that if somebody asks me a clear question, they will get a very clear answer. Sometimes I'm very direct, and sometimes I can overshoot. I know clear. That. Yes, and not everybody likes that, and I completely appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I just want to give like an honest, true answer people can really like work with. Not every time the truth is nice to swallow, but you have to swallow it anyway if it's the truth. So yeah, I'm trying my best. I'm not always at my best, but I'm trying. Must try harder.
Very good. And do you have any other like products or services that are coming up for Bodalgo that you sort of want to talk about, or anything on the horizon that you're excited about?
Well, I still think about the new way how if that clients can pay for the Job Plus feature, where only a set of talents is able to audition for. I'm still thinking about that. So this could come. Apart from that, nothing major really. There is always a little bit of optimization going on. Still have a look at to get the opening rates up. If somebody out there has an idea what should be done so that people listen to even more of the auditions, I'm happy to discuss that at One Voice conference in London, because London is opening the borders for us Germans again, which is great. Or just shoot me a line. This is also something that if there is any question out there that even Gravy for the Brain can't answer, or you, Toby, I'm happy to be emailed at armin@bodalgo.com, and usually I'm pretty fast with emails. If you don't hear within a week, just shoot another one. You can't annoy me with that. Then I just had then too much on my plate.
Cool, fantastic. And if you watched all the way through this video just to find out why it's called Bodalgo.com, you can find out at Bodalgo.com. Because it's a question you get asked all the time, I know that.
Yes, it is. Apart from the question, what is English neutral?
Well, yes, of course, yeah. And no one really knows the answer to that. Anyone that says they do still doesn't quite, but you know, it's one of those. It's a spectrum.
it's a spectrum.
Exactly.
No, but also that answer is on Bodalgo.com.
Nice, very good. So, unfortunately, we won't be able to catch up at One Voice because I'm in New Zealand and our borders are still quite close to the rest of the world. But I'm sure I'll see you in 2022 over there in London. But thank you for joining me today. It's been an absolute ball, and I do have some ideas. I'm going to shoot you an email with some stuff. So look forward to that.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure to catch up with you, to talk to you, and to all your viewers out there. I hope you had a little bit of you could take something home from all we said today.